Hey, my friends, welcome. Welcome to the Escape the Matrix retreat, a return to tranquility. It's day 4. This is a 5-day retreat, and I'm so excited because today we're actually offering this day of the retreat to all over on my YouTube channel. So this is going to give you a taste of what this entire retreat has been like. This whole retreat is available through my platform, Rewildest Life. So Rewildest Life is a platform that I only started like a few months ago. And I teach yoga every week, meditation every week. I offer retreats and exclusive videos that I don't share anywhere else. We also have live monthly coaching, really cool retreats like this one, and an entire private Facebook group of like-minded creative individuals who enjoy talking about rewilding, connecting to nature, and basically everything we talk about over here on my channel. So if you enjoy what we talk about here on the channel, I think you're really going to love Rewildest Life. I'm going to drop a link in the comments section, the live chat, in case you want to check it out. It helps me to continue doing what I'm doing, and I'm really honored to be able to offer mindful content to help you in your own unique journey. So I hope to see you over there. Today, we're talking about how connecting with nature can help us ground and center and connect to ourselves more deeply. So on this Escaping the Matrix journey, we've been talking a lot about unplugging from all the noise, all the overstimulation of society, so that we can truly begin to connect with our wild selves. And when I say wild selves, I mean who we truly are underneath all the noise and layers. I like to think of it as like onion layers. All these layers sort of get built on top of us, covering our identity, covering our true nature. And sometimes we can begin to feel our voice being stifled, like we're not as connected with our hearts, our heart song. And when we step back from society, when we unplug, maybe through digital minimalism, maybe through other mindfulness practices, we begin to really start to connect with our own soul. When we connect with our soul, some of the most powerful things will begin to manifest in our lives. And I speak from experience here, because there was a time when I was very much connected to being on my phone all the time, following trends, caught on the hamster wheel of the comparison game, and it seemed never ending. It seemed like no matter what I did, it wasn't good enough. No matter what I did, I was constantly pushing that benchmark of, alleged success further and further away. And I wasn't finding happiness. It's like kind of chasing the carrot and you never quite get there. You're never going to find that sense of fulfillment and happiness unless you find it already in yourself. You have to look within. That's the only way we're going to find a sense of joy in our lives, not by chasing something outside of ourselves, but by looking in, by being introspective, by unplugging both, maybe from digital devices, maybe through minimalism, maybe through mindfulness practices. There's so many different things we can do, but we need to quiet our minds so we can begin to tap into who we truly are. So today we're going to talk about how we can actually use connecting with nature to help us tune into our own soul. So unplugging and getting out into nature, what are some of the benefits of that? Well, it can help to lower your exposure to EMFs, or electromagnetic frequencies, which can be harmful. There's lots of studies out there about it, some of which, there's different types of discussion about these types of things, but I invite you to look into it for yourself. It can help to lower your exposure to EMFs. It can increase your exposure to negative ions, which are really, really good for you and are released by trees. So when we spend time in nature, we are getting these incredibly good energetic frequencies from being around plants, being around soil, being walking around on the earth barefoot, or being in a stream or a lake. We get so much good energy that is going to just recharge us. And I know I've felt it like in such a tangible way. I felt it recently when I was working in my garden. I had um I had spent most of the week on the computer, like, doing work, like writing and doing everything I normally do, which a lot of it is on the computer, so I have to be really careful, and I use this stuff in my own life all the time. But when I took a day off and just spent the whole day in the garden. And when I finished, like, gardening for the day, oh my gosh, I felt so different. I felt like this huge energetic shift. I felt so joyful and like I had this surplus of energy. It was almost a feeling of euphoria. And it came just from being like getting my hands in the soil, planting things, being around plants all day, being out in the fresh air, breathing fresh oxygen all day, being in the sunlight, getting that vitamin D. All of these things work together like this sacred tapestry to really enhance our well being. And it's incredible the benefits that can come from that. Walking barefoot on the ground is a practice called earthing, and earthing carries with it so many benefits like lowering EMF exposure because it helps to ground us. It can help to lower inflammation, it can reduce stress and anxiety. There's a lot of studies out there about it. So Google it, check it out, look up what can grounding do for you? What can the practice of earthing do? Because it's absolutely phenomenal what we're discovering about this, just walking barefoot. And it makes sense because that's what we've done for thousands of years, right? Our ancestors walked barefoot on the earth. And it's only in this modern Western day and age where we're so disconnected from earth. We're constantly in like cement structures, wearing thick shoes that shut down the feedback between our feet and those signals being sent to our brain. So it's like, why would we continuously create a barrier between us and Mother Earth when in fact we're supposed to be as connected as we possibly can be because it gives us so many benefits. It helps us stay healthy and it helps our mental health, our mental well-being, our spiritual well-being. All of these things start to come together and work in conjunction with one another. We start to feel more whole in our bodies. We feel a better sense of well-being when we are more connected to earth. Forest bathing is another really great one. And I love forest bathing because it's different from hiking. So, forest bathing is about spending time in a space outdoors, whether it's in an actual forest or maybe it's in a park. If you live in a more urban setting, it doesn't have to be like off in the woods somewhere. It can be anywhere where you have vegetation, you have grass growing, you have maybe a stream or a body of natural body of water. Spending time really sitting in that space and meandering and wandering and not setting a goal of trying to get from point A to point B like a destination hike, but instead allowing yourself to just be in that space and really soak up the benefits of what's there. Notice, make it a meditative practice to just wander in this space. It's kind of like the same, it's similar to the practice that many Buddhist monks practice, which is mindful walking or walking meditation, where you're really tuning into your feet touching the earth. And you're using this practice of slowly and mindfully walking as an actual meditation practice, a moving meditation. So as you forest bathe, you can bring that exact same concept into play here. We're really bringing our full awareness to where we are, maybe even closing your eyes in that space if you feel safe to do so, listening to whatever sounds are there. Maybe it's bird song, maybe it's the sound of the wind in the trees, maybe it's the sound of a babbling brook. So you can really start to tune into what are the sounds that are right here around me, encompassing me, creating this beautiful acoustic cocoon around me to nourish me? Notice those sounds. Invite those sounds into the very center of your heart and just sit with them. So often we miss these things, because we're running around, we're busy, we're looking at our phones, we have earbuds in, we miss so much when we're constantly plugged into some source of stimulation. We miss all the beauty of Mother Earth. We miss the beauty of nature and the natural world unfolding around us, crying out to us to look and really see what's around us, really allow it in, allow it to nourish us, allow it to reduce our stress. That is so common in today's day and age, right? Because we're constantly demanding things of ourselves. This age of productivity and scheduling as much as we possibly can into each day. We don't always need to be going somewhere or doing something. We can actually close down some of that stimulation. We can breathe and we can meditate in a space that's going to offer us so much peace, so much tranquility when we simply shut down some of the stimulation and tune into the frequency of Earth. When we connect to nature, we come back to our true selves. So this isn't just about getting outside and breathing fresh air, even though I've listed a bunch of benefits of doing so. This is about who we are beyond all the noise and chaos of society, beyond the comparison game of social media, beyond being on a screen, in front of a screen constantly, on our phones constantly. This is about peeling away all those layers of noise and stimulation and coming back to ourselves where we can hear our own voice. I think in today's world, we need more clarity, more mental clarity, more spiritual clarity. We can often find that when we get quiet, with ourselves, maybe through walking in nature and meditating. I have a couple really incredible nature-based practices that I just filmed the other day in the Vermont mountains, and they're going to be coming out on Rewildest Life. So if you haven't subscribed, you can do so. I posted the link over in the chat. When we tune in to nature, we're actually tuning into something inside of us. And I don't know if you've ever felt that. Comment and tell me if you have. Have you ever been on a hike or out somewhere in nature, maybe sitting by a river or maybe out kayaking on a lake or something, paddleboarding, and you just have felt, wow, I just feel this deep sense of like, I'm content with who I am. I'm content with everything in my life. Seems like it's going to be okay. There's like this really sweet energy that comes and soothing. It's like a balm to the soul. It comes from being out in nature. Tell me if you've ever felt that. Feel free to share a story and commune in the chat. But for me, I've felt that so many times when I've been hiking or out on the lake. We live on a lake in Vermont in the mountains, and so often I'll be out there just listening to the geese, watching the geese land, and it's like, yeah, everything comes back into clear focus. If you're at a confused place in your life, maybe you're like at a crossroads, you're not sure like where you're going or a decision or a job or whatever, and you need some clarity, nature is a great place to go to get clarity. Get still with yourself in nature and let the soil, the sky, the mountains, the stream, the wind, let them speak to you. Let them guide you. Let the soothing sounds of nature bring you back to a place of clarity, mental clarity, spiritual clarity. Nature teaches us that silence is okay. We can be with ourselves and sit with ourselves in silence. And that's 100% fine. It can teach us so much. And in today's world, at least in Western society, which is what I grew up in, what I live in, and it's like Don't ever shut down your brain. Don't ever like stop thinking. Think all the time. Always be stimulated. Always be on the computer or having the TV going or listening to music or being on your phone or all of those at once. And it's just this constant stream of stimulation. So we're never really getting that moment of quiet to really, really, really be without thought, without constant noise, constant stimulation. It's okay to be quiet with yourself. It's okay to be silent. It's okay to meditate, and we need to train ourselves to get out of this mindset of like we're wasting our time. Oh, like I can't sit still for 15 minutes. Ah, I have so many friends who have said that. Like, oh, doesn't it feel like you're wasting your time? No, this is the time we need to tend to ourselves. Walking in nature, being in nature, just doing nothing can teach us so much. It can change the course of our lives. These are some of the pivotal moments, at least in my life, some of the most pivotal moments that I've experienced have come from just spending time doing nothing so that I could hear myself think, so that I could actually tap into like, what do I need from life right now? Where am I going? Where is this going? How do I actually feel? You know, like asking yourself, how am I right now? How are you right now? And tuning into the answer, tuning into the answer. And letting your heart guide you. I've learned from experience that your heart, your spirit needs silence, it needs quiet, it needs space. And that's the most beautiful thing about being outside and being in nature, is that it offers us space and this safe haven of no digital stimulation, no pressures, no societal expectations. It's just us. It can help us to begin to peel back those layers that I mentioned and to really see into our own heart. We begin to see the world outside of the artificial framework and structure that society has constructed. We take a step back from the noise and chaos of the world and find a deep sense of peace. Because all these artificial things are all like man-made, right? Like the most peaceful things in the world, the real like wonders of the world, are things that exist in nature. Nature is this incredible guide that can help us in so many ways. And if you want to kind of cement this into your practice, you can journal, you can meditate, you can ask yourself these questions. I invite you to write these down as I speak them, or you can feel free to subscribe to Rewildest Life, which would be amazing. I would love to have you, and it's such an incredible support to me. It helps me to continue doing what I'm doing here on this channel, and you're going to get access to so much exclusive content. If you like the type of stuff that I'm making, I think you'll feel right at home. I'll be posting these questions inside of the private Facebook group for Rewildest Life, but you can feel free to write them down. I'm going to read them here. What can I learn about myself when I'm out in the woods or sitting beside a stream, or maybe in the mountains, or maybe sitting on a beach? What can I learn about myself? Not about the surroundings, not about where you are, but what can you learn about you, right? What can we learn about ourselves? And it's interesting to think about learning about yourself and seeing yourself in the world around you, in the natural surroundings around you. Because when we think about looking at ourselves, we think about being introspective, like, okay, let me think about what I do for work, what I, you know, the hobbies I have, or the car I drive, or, the places I've been. No, those actually, those are some of the layers that get built up over us because really our essence is so much deeper than that. Our essence goes so much deeper, and we can learn so much about ourselves by looking to nature for answers. What does the soil have to teach me? The mountains, the ocean. We can find lessons in so many of these things. When I was hiking the Grand Canyon with my father back in 2019, we hiked to the bottom of the Grand Canyon and spent the night. And on that hike, I had something of an epiphany. And it was like everything fell into place in this really incredible way. And it's almost like my life was before that hike was totally different than it was afterwards. And everything afterwards was like never the same again. And I didn't have any cell service. I didn't have my phone. I didn't bring any digital devices. It was just me and my father and the hiking trail and this vast, expansive landscape with very few people. And I felt this deep connection with myself like nothing I had ever felt before. It was like everything was extremely vivid. Everything went from 2D to 3D, and I could really be present and enjoy every single thing that was happening, that I was experiencing. My attention wasn't divided, and I could really look at each thing that I was experiencing and ask, like, what can I learn from this? How often do we do that when we are, walking through a park or walking beside a stream or lake, asking ourselves, what can I learn from this? What does this lake have to teach me? What lessons are in the trees, in the clouds, in the sky? When we're kids, we are very curious. We ask ourselves these questions. We are curious. We want to explore. We want to know more. We want to draw closer to learn the fuller message. I think we're kind of like schooled out of this as we grow older. So we need to reintroduce some of that childlike curiosity and ask ourselves, what can we learn from these things in our environment, these things that are around us all the time? What can I learn from simply sitting in nature? Like I said earlier, not having to do anything. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to be hiking from point A to point B. We can forest bathe. We can practice earthing, barefoot walking on the ground. And we can just be like, okay, what do I feel here? How am I doing? What am I learning just from slowing way down and just experiencing this moment for what it is? And then how do you feel after spending a day outside, perhaps gardening or hiking, and compare that to how you feel after a day of being constantly stimulated by digital devices? What I've found is it's amazing the difference between a day spent like on the computer, at work, on the phone, constantly rushing, and then a day of just being out, maybe in the woods, maybe even in your own yard, just enjoying the surroundings, feeling the sunshine, breathing the fresh air, and seeing the difference between those two feelings. See, knowing the difference energetically, how we feel when we're overly stimulated versus how we feel when we are connected to earth, to ourselves. That's really important because then we can use that to tend to our mental health, our self-care, our emotional health. We can see, okay, wow, I recognize this feeling of being way too stimulated. So now I'm going to tone that back and make that shift over to reconnecting to earth, recharging, letting myself rest. And I can't emphasize that enough. We live in a society, a lot of us do anyway, where rest is not valued as much as it should be, but really we need rest and we need time to think, we need time to be, we need time to let ourselves stop thinking even and just tap into that meditative mindset. That's something I talk about a lot on Rewild This Life is, sharing meditations. And a lot of those meditations are focused on simply allowing yourself to be, releasing the need to analyze thoughts, to pass judgment on your thoughts, to feel like you have to sort everything out and carry the burden of the world on your shoulders. We can let all that go and we can really settle in, we can breathe, and we can find really deep reservoirs of peace inside of us, ready to support us, ready to carry us in our journeys. Mm. I love what you shared, Victor. We are part of nature, not to be apart from it. That's not made to be apart from it. That's awesome. Yeah, that's so true. Just taking a moment to read through the comments here. Diverne Personnel, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. Yeah, it's that's one of the things, like you said, a good mixture of travel outdoors and technology tends to make me happy. Yeah, the thing is like finding that balance. Like I always tell people, you don't have to go to an extreme of like never using technology. You can find like what works for you. And so often when we're super stressed, it's just because we're out of balance, right? There's nothing wrong with using technology. It's just finding that balance of using technology in such a way that's beneficial for us and also balancing it out with time away from screens. Mm. La La Ladybird shared that I found water is where I find myself the most clear minded. I love to sit by the ocean and just mindlessly watch it, but sometimes I have to be okay with sitting in the shower. Yes, actually, showering is interesting. I've heard some teachers talk about how, it does some stuff to actually help like cleanse your aura to either like take a swim in a lake or a river or even showering. It like does some stuff to your body energetically. It's very interesting. I don't know a lot about it, so I'm not gonna like babble on too much here, but I have read some things that I'm like, wow, that's actually pretty cool because whenever I feel like I have a lot of stuck energy, maybe I just I'm feeling kind of off that day. Sometimes I'll just like, if I can't go for a swim in the lake, if it's like freezing or something, I will just like take a shower and it will help me to like make that shift into like better energy. So it is quite interesting. But yeah, sitting by the ocean is like, it's just a balm for the soul, isn't it? Like we need to really prioritize being mindless in nature, or as my sensei often calls it, a state of no mind, meaning you are just allowing yourself to be, you're really tapping into your heart and letting the thinking mind take a break. We're giving the mind a break. It can help us to reduce so much stress too when we take the demands off the thinking mind to constantly be going, constantly be supporting us. The rest of our body is there to support us as well. So we can really, when we sit with ourselves and let our innate intelligence kind of take over, it gives the thinking mind a rest and it can help us to feel more focused when we need to be focused, when we need to be thinking. We can do all of that so much better when we are also giving ourselves these breaks. So it is something that is worth exploring. And I think taking time to go out into nature however you can, even if it's just breathing fresh air out in your outdoor space, it can be such a wonderful practice. Mm. Yeah, I love what you said. Well, it's interesting. I'm responding to deeper and personal here, but like how you said you played outside with your friends, you played video games, but no social media back then. We were happy then. Yeah, I grew up when I was growing up, there wasn't social media either. And it was like there wasn't this constant need to compare yourself to other people. And I think there was actually a lot less stress in the world. And yeah, I mean, the reality is like we live in a world where there's social media and a lot more, things online that there didn't used to be. So we have to just move forward with mindfulness and mitigate that. When we find ourselves like falling into this trap of like, wow, this is really taking up a lot of my time and energy, to like just bring ourselves back to like that wholesome feeling of, having technology, but also having everything around us and, really cultivating gratitude for those things, really delving into those things. But to recap everything we talked about tonight on this day of the retreat, unplugging and getting into nature, how you can reconnect with yourself through connecting and aligning with nature. Lower your exposure to EMFs by getting outside, increase negative ions, practice barefoot walking on the ground in a practice called earthing, forest bathe. When we connect to nature, we come back to our true selves. Always remember that. Nature teaches us that silence is okay. We can be with ourselves, we can sit with ourselves in silence, and we can learn so much from that. When we take a step back from the noise and chaos of the world, we can find a deep sense of peace in nature. You can ask yourself, what can I learn from nature when I'm just sitting in the woods or walking by a stream? What does it teach me? What does Mother Earth teach me as I explore outside? What can I learn from simply sitting with myself in nature? And then notice how you feel after spending a day outside gardening or hiking versus how you feel if you're on, plugged into technology all day, and notice the differences in those energies. So I hope you enjoyed this day of the retreat. If you want to join me for the last day of the retreat, please consider subscribing to Rewild This Life. I posted the link in the live chat over here, and it would be awesome to have you. I would absolutely love it. I post yoga videos, meditations, and exclusive retreats in Rewild This Life. I teach yoga and meditation every single week, so there's constantly new videos being updated, and there's like a lot of exclusive content over there that I haven't shared anywhere else. So I would love to have you, and I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here. I hope you walked away with some good food for thought. Enjoy. I wish you so much joy in your journey, and I will see you again soon, my friend. Namaste. Have a great rest of your evening, everyone. Thank you for joining me.